That's right, my friends. Given that AEW and NXT were on the same evening, I thought we'd combine them into one show, mostly because people always say, oh, Simon, you should do this, so I'm doing it. Also, I'll spoil it for you, because the winner is, boom, it's the weirdest drum roll ever, professional wrestling. Because if you prefer AEW, you're going to prefer that. And if you prefer NXT, you're going to prefer that. But I just like the fact we're getting all this sports entertainment. And also, I, Simon Miller, am the Progress Proteus champion. That's right, I'm doing it again. But it means my opinion matters more than yours. I mean, that's definitely not true. That's a terrible thing to say. And some people on the internet actually do believe that. But either way, we're taking the finger of power, the fop, which is right here. Should not have kissed it. And it's time to give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down for both of these crazy shows. We start with AEW as well. Excalibur made me laugh straight away because he was talking about last week and he was like, oh my gosh, can you remember what MVP did? He took a phone call. Well, yeah, you definitely don't want to take one of those. It's also really damn cool because the Hurt Syndicate, or the Pain Clinic, I prefer that one, did make their first proper entrance in All Elite Wrestling. I'm just going to tell you this. Sometimes things just work. This just works. I mean, they're just really cool, and even though Tony Schiavone was trying to introduce them, MVP was like, I don't need an introduction, so you can go away. Then he introduced himself. I was like, why are you lying to me, man? I don't get what's going on. He also put over Shelton Benjamin Hart, which I love because that man deserves his flowers. We sold Bobby Lashley like he was Mr. Destructor. He just stood there looking all big and massive. I like me some Bobby. MVP also referenced the business cards they have been handing out and said, if you accept it, we will change your life, or if you reject it, we will murder you, which is when we did indeed cut to the video screen and we saw them murdering Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana. So at least now they're finally telling the truth. Of course, right after this, the Prince and Swerve did come bounding out there with the useless security tried to hold them back. Swerve just got a mic and went, Bobby Lashley, full gear. Bob kind of wiggled around his head a bit. He didn't really do much of anything. He just stood there with his arms folded, once again looking like the big old jacked man. But I suppose he did accept, so the match is on for Full Gear. So let's keep it simple for right now. In terms of this group and just the feelings they do throw out there, you've got to give them an up, because once again, they're so damn cool. But when it comes to the angle, I guess you can say it was simple, and that's fine. I don't mind a simple angle. I am a simple man. But I don't know, dude. Just kind of felt like it didn't have the gravitas that I was expecting. Now look, it must have done something because I'm so pumped for Bobby Lashley versus Swerve Strickland. Genuinely comes across like a modern day dream match for me, but I felt like we should have got more oomph in this, don't know what that is, but we didn't really get it, and I still don't know why. I suppose it just fell flat. That's how it made me feel. I'm sorry, but I do have to give it a down. We then zoom over to NXT, and the intro was based like ECW going, bleh, I threw up over you, which makes sense, we were in the ECW arena. We also started with a hardcore match for obvious reasons, and it was Jada Parker taking on Lola Vice, with Dawn Marie as the special guest ref. And if you know that story, well, it's pretty much incredible. They also started to whack each other with chairs when they thought maybe we should use more chairs, when they remembered that a chair can be used as a weapon. Now, let's remember, professional wrestlers, a chair is there to sit in. You don't have to take it and whack it around somebody's head. Vice then thought escalation would be a really good idea, because she went to get a table, and because Parker did not want to do this, she put the table back. Everybody went boo, boo. It always makes me chuckle. The most powerful force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break, then really went to work, because when we came back, we had trash cans, ladders, and kendo sticks. But of course, we're not allowed to call them kendo sticks, because it now is ECW, and you must call them Singapore canes. It's weird. From there, they just killed each other with these tables, and my gosh, they both took mega bumps, which is also actually something that happened on AEW. So just a massive round of applause all around. Everybody was putting the effort. Now the only part I thought was too ridiculous is that at one point Lola Vice had applied a chokehold. Do you know how Jada Parker got out with that? It's genuinely funny. She found a brick and she hit her in the head. Now, one, bring down the crime counter. There it is, go up by one. And two, did you think that would be the finish of the match? No, because Parker decided I must hit you with my hip attack, and she got the 1, 2, 3. So let's just re-establish the NXT lore here. The hip attack is more devastating than a brick to the face. So I really do think she probably should have just pinned her after using a brick to the face, which puts me in a very difficult position. I was genuinely laughing like this for about 10 minutes afterwards, but let's focus on the good stuff. It has to get an up. These two totally smashed it. But yes, a brick to the face just has to be the finish. It just does. It's a brick to the face, and if you did it in real life, you would be going to jail, but also you'd probably murder someone. I don't know why I feel like I need to give that a down, but I do. But these two, great stuff. Super duper fun. Ethan Page and Ridge Holland then started talking about their tag team match later. Ethan Page is so good, because he was all like, I don't care, it's ECW, you ain't getting no tables. When Wesley went and beat up RVD, essentially. So it really does beg the question, what did RVD do? But we'll have to get to that later, because when we go back to AEW, we got a video reminding you about the journey of one Orange Cassidy. It also meant we were getting the piece of fruit and Darby Allin taking on Claudio Castagnoli and Pac. I was like, well, that was quick. Thought maybe we build up to it a little bit more. You can't say it isn't working though, because the fans are so behind Darby and Orange. And of course, Wheeler Yuta was on the outside in the corner of the Blackpool Combat Club. And he's just a confused mess. Somebody needs to help this guy. Cassidy kind of tempted Pac and Claudio up the rampway as well when Darby Allin jumped off the entranceway, because of course he did. And from there, they just had a really good match, because everybody hates the BCC and everybody loves these two. Also, they're really talented. I had a good time. Claudio then proved he must have invested in backbreakers, because he hit all of them when him and Pac were just stomping on Orange Cassidy's chest, or his stomach area, his tum-tum. So I was a bit like, is a bunch of juice about to pour out? Then I remembered he's not actually an orange. He finally got the hot tag to Darby as well, and this place became unglued. So if the plan in 2025 is to give Allin a world title run, well, this is some pretty good evidence you should do it. He just flew around like he always does when Castagnoli gave him the biggest backdrop you've ever seen, but nothing will compare to when Claudio grabbed him on the outside and threw him into the ring post, and I mean this literally. There was no way to fake it. And in this moment, if you had talked to Claudio, he'd probably go, wait a minute, wrestling is a work? I have no idea. Everybody was then breaking up pins at the 1-2 ooh, and to be fair, I actually didn't know which way this was going to go. That's mostly because I'm a massive idiot. Instead, though, as soon as Pac was spiked with a DDT and Yuta tried to get involved but totally failed, out came John Moxley and out came Irina Shafir, and they got involved and basically beat up the referee, which meant it was a disqualification. And listen, in terms of the story, I understand this, but why the hell did they wait so long? Allin tried to use his skateboard as well, although Marina then got the briefcase, and they kind of had a lightsaber battle. Well, I'm not sure that Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader ever did that, but if they make another one, somebody will probably put it in. Claudio didn't care about any of that, which is when he came in with the cigar uppercuts. This is also when he grabbed Allin and murdered him with Rita the ring post, but as has been the way over the last few weeks, the Blackpool Combat Club are on a murder mission. This is when Mark Briscoe and the conglomeration came out to finally stop this. I was a bit like, where have you been, you fools? Last week you basically pitched a tent outside the arena. Now, of course, this is the big storyline that AEW has been running, and we're going to get Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley at the pay-per-view. And I think from there, we're going to get a bit more bricks that we can put in the wall. But I am still enjoying it, and I love how the Blackpool Combat Club are being portrayed. They're actually a little bit spooky-wooky. Giving it up. Renee Paquette was then interviewing Ricochet as well, because she wanted to know, who is your tag team partner later? He's like, I'm not going to tell you, but trust me, I could have picked anybody, because everybody hates the Don Callis family. Now, this is when the Hurt Syndicate walked in, and they basically talked to Ricochet again, because they're teasing that Rick may join that group. I thought about this, and I was like, man, maybe he should. I do not know. Segments like this were all over the place as well, because in NXT, Tony Marmaluke and Nunzio were hanging out with the D'Angelo family, because of course they were. But once again, this just made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Not in my wildest dreams did I think we were going to get this at the latter end of 2024. Of course, the time was mostly, well, we're Italians and we're the mafia, because wrestling can be that dumb. Well, we got Javon Evans versus Wesley. I'm just giving it a round of applause. RVD was also at ringside at one point, because of course he had to get revenge against Wes, and he stopped him from beating Javon Evans up in a terrible, terrible way. But all I'm going to tell you, because we do have so much to get through, is go and watch it. Like, if you want to capture the spirit of ECW, these two dudes did it. It was just amazing wrestling done at a frantic pace. Like I say, though, it was Rob Van Dam that stopped Wes from using the chair. And this splash of the frogs that Javon Evans hit, It was genuinely amazing. Wes Lee was like in the other corner of the ring. Javon was like, it's no problem, and he crushed this guy. But did it make me believe that he had beat him? You bet your ass. 1, 2, 3. I was also pleased that he did get a win because Javon does lose a lot. I know he's young and he's going to be fine either way, but it just made me happy once again. And even though jumping between these shows made me so damn stressed, when I got to the end of this one, I felt good again. Just getting it up. We also had a really fun moment as well because GM Ava came to the ring. It was like, oh, my big announcement is that Deadline is the next PLE. It's like, well, you better have something better than that. When, of course, Robert Stone was like, ha, 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 Philadelphia sucks. When the lights went off and they came back on, Rhino was here and he gored him out of his shoes. So I do understand that some people are saying, I wanted more ECW in my dinner. But listen, I love Rhino. I would always love Rhino. And even though that sounds weird, I do have to give it an up. I made a lot of noise. Over on AEW, we were about to get our match without Honor 2, which makes no sense at the moment, because what happened in the last match? John Moxley just walked out there and caused a disqualification. I mean, talk about not having any honor. Still, it was the Learning Tree taking on Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and Ishii. And it's like I said earlier, even though it was just a random episode of Dynamite, they could not have done more here. They were putting their damn lives on the line. Briscoe just smashed Jericho almost instantly with the world title as well when the dives began, because of course they did, as it was 2024, when they too had a bunch of plunder and kendo sticks. You always have to ask the question, why do we only get kendo sticks when there's a hardcore match? I smell a conspiracy, and also I just smelt a fake kendo stick. People were then falling through tables, and because Big Bill was the biggest guy, he was just using ladders, tables, and everything else. When him and Kyle had a fight backstage, and then they kind of got onto Barry Barricade, when O'Reilly was like, well, I'm going to choke you out, but because he did do that, and he was wrapped around Billy, they fell down, and they crashed through another table. I mean, it was always going to happen. We also got this nuts Tower of Doom spot, which I think Chris Jericho took the worst of as he continues to say, hey man, you may be coming at me, but I'm going to come back at you. When he also basically kicked a ladder into Mark Briscoe's face. It was like, nah man, I don't care about that. And he hit a Jay Jilla, and man, he did this froggy bow through a table. And Brian Keith broke that up at like 2.9999. That was a spectacular job. It got me. Ishii then decided, though, nothing hurts me, so I may as well use my Wolverine powers, and went after Jericho, and he hit the lariat and got the brain buster. And I was like, well, wait a minute. That's usually his finish, and that's right, my peeps. He pinned Chris Jericho, the Ring of Honor World Champion, for the Uno Dos Tres. So it was actually quite nice because it's an easy way to build a story, and we should do that at a Ring of Honor pay-per-view or whatever the hell big events they do have coming up. Also, it genuinely surprised me. I did not think I was going to see that, but it's another of these matches where you just have to say, well done, my friends. It's pretty damn intense. The BCC were then walking backstage when John Moxley kind of pushed Wheeler Yuta around a little bit. Once again, I was like, Wheels, you have to leave. Fox then decided to tell Orange Cassidy, though, that Wheeler Yuta owes him nothing, even though they used to be friends, so clearly he doesn't believe in friendship, when he was like, he doesn't belong to anyone, but he is one of my soldiers. So, well, he must belong to you then. Mox is also super disappointed in Darby Allin, so he must be his dad. This is just one of those John Moxley promos where you go, not entirely sure what you are talking about, but you do make me want to watch the television. Back to NXT now, and it was indeed Rich Holland and Ethan Page taking on Trick Williams and Bubba Ray Dudley. I took a moment and I was like, I don't know what universe I'm in anymore. Holland and Bubba started this off as well, and listen, all the power to Rich Holland. Apparently it was himself that requested he went back to NXT, and he has finally figured it out, and he's worked out what his character should be. He's doing a really good job. The fans obviously love Bubba Ray Dudley, so we gave him loads here. I do just have to say, and listen, it doesn't matter. He's paid his dues. He can do whatever the flop he wants. He was just shouting spots here, and you could hear everyone. But as a massive nerd, I actually really enjoyed it. He did get his penis thrown into the ropes at one point, and Ethan and Ridge jumped right on that. I don't mean his penis, I mean they used it to work him over. And this was just smart wrestling booking, because Trick Williams, our world champion, was on the ring apron going, man, my hands all warm, give me a hot tag. and he got it. Eventually it set off the tag klaxon because everybody was in here throwing moves, but it turned out Ridge was the best at coping with this, because he must have used his MP. He dodged the Trick Williams running knee, that kind of rhymes, so it must be true, when he hit the most devastating move in all of sports, an attempt at a surprise roll-up, and he got the 3, so now he can claim that he just beat the champ. Page then attacked Williams right after this, because of course we had to do something fun, and essentially somebody was going to go through a table, and it was Ethan Page, but do you know who the secret third man was? It was Devon Dudley. I'm sure you can figure it out. Big pop. The Dudleys and Trick Williams then dressed up like they were the Dudleys from the late 90s. So listen, you can say, oh man, this is really stupid. Wrestling is stupid. I'm stupid. I like stupid. I do not see that as an insult. And in terms of using this for the night that we were told we were going to get, I'm going to give it an up. Also, I'm a big fan of Ethan Page. Put him on the main roster next year. When we went back to AEW, and it was Malachi Black taking on Adam Cole, and my gosh, this has set everybody off. It did make me chuckle, because back on NXT, Carmen Petrovich and Ashante the Adonis were doing their romance angle, and that is pro wrestling to me. Talk about a 180. Now, as ever, anytime Cole and Malachi are in the same ring, they just have good matches. And fair play to Excalibur. He was like, do you know every time Malachi Black and Adam Cole have fought, Malachi is 6-0 in the records. So even though Adam Cole was going to win here, well, nobody was really effective. Now you should just go and watch it, because again, they do have great chemistry. And I suppose the controversial moment is when Malachi hit the Black Mass, whatever the flub we're calling it these days, and Adam Cole kicked out. Now, the fans in the arena were definitely not into this, because they went boo. I don't think they were saying boo earns. You also have the conversation about whether or not Adam Cole should be winning all these matches or overselling his injuries. I'm just going to give you my take on it, and of course you will roll your eyes, that's perfectly fine. Just leave a comment and engage with the video. When I watched Adam Cole, I remember he went through a crazy concussion, and I remember that his ankle basically exploded, and I just feel pleased he's back in the ring. That is an emotion I have, and wrestling is all about emotion. You don't have to feel that way, but all of this just made me happy. They were fighting inside and outside the ring as well, and we were getting Panama Sunrise all over the place. And the strange part is, at one point, Malachi kind of been beaten down, so he sat in the ring and basically said to Adam, well, why don't you hit me with the lower the boom, the running knee, which he did do, and Adam Cole pinned him. Malachi, you didn't need to do that. You could have fought. They embraced afterwards as well with a big hug, and some people were saying, oh, I think Malachi Black is leaving AEW. Now, I didn't pick up on that at all, and the rumors have always been he has a long while on his contract. I do think they're just really good friends. Kyle O'Reilly was watching this from the back as well, and Adam Cole cut a big promo. Very sadly, this is where the whole story fell apart, and I even watched it twice to make sure. Because before this match, the commentators most definitely say, do not forget, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong are in a race here to become the first 2-3 consecutive wins, because the winner will then take on MJF at Full Gear. When Adam got on the mic and said, listen, I have 2 wins, Roderick has 1 win, and there's every chance both of us get to 3, and I talked to Tony Khan, and if that does happen, we will then have to be in a 3-way at the pay-per-view. And I was like, unless your matches are going to be happening simultaneously, I was literally just told it's a race. So this thing is just way too complicated, and maybe I am getting confused, but I don't think we need it to make it as hard as it needed to be. Just say that Adam Cole has to win 3 matches, especially because now we likely will do the triple threat. Otherwise, why would we talk about it? And I bet you in that match, Roderick turns on Adam. I'm not entirely sure I need that either. So it's all just a little bit too much, and now you do have the commentators disagreeing with the wrestlers, so that part does have to get it down. I understand we're trying to retcon a lot here, but I thought the match was good, and again, anything between MJF and Adam Cole is always going to work for me, so I am going to give that an up. And again, I thought it was a pretty good television fight. We also cut to Max at home after this, who very handily was being filmed, and he was so mad it's all going bad, he made a phone call. We'll get to that in a bit. Renee was then chatting to Jay White and essentially said to him, how do you feel about Hangman Adam Page's comments? Because last week he said he was going to kill you. Now, White didn't seem that bothered, which must have annoyed the cowboy, because he came flying in, and man, these two engaged in an excellent brawl. I'm really enjoying this feud. The cowboy even made sure to beat up a useless security guard, but Jay used that to whack him one. But by this point, they were in the ring, and Jay was like, look at you, limping Larry. Your foot's all broken. How the hell are you going to be able to defend that when we fight a Full Gear? White then also promised to be the first guy to tap Hangman Adam Adam Page out when we do get to the pay-per-view. So I don't know, man. This is just working. I think it's because they both come across like stars, and it makes me go, well, who the hell is going to win? Because you could go in either direction, depending what you do have planned for them in 2025. This one's definitely getting it up. NXT then did continue down memory lane because it was Tony D versus Nunzio. I actually have a story about this. Because as you may remember, earlier this year I did do the Last Match tour, which was a wrestling rock and roll musical. And not only did we perform in the ECW arena, it was like a life tick box for me, but Nunzio was the special guest on that show. So when I was watching this, I was having my own memories. Can't lie, I could have been the happiest man ever. So you could call this bias, I don't even care. I mean, of course, Tony D won and the two shook hands afterwards. We were always going to do that, so I shall give it an up. And afterwards, Sean Spears was like, maybe next week, I'll be an Italian. So either he's gonna make us some pizza, or he's going after the North American Championship. But either way, that is a really weird thing to say. Raquel was then back on AEW and she was talking to Chris Statlander because, of course, at Full Gear, it's going to be Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS title. Very sadly, somebody is going to have to find Statlander because we were like an hour into the show. Apparently, she was just arriving. Why are you so late? We do have to bring down the crime counter though, because there was like this flurry of noise. And as it turned out, Camille, in a van, had tried to run over Chris Statlander. Now, I was laughing anyway, given we had the brick earlier, but it got even better because Mercedes was in the passenger seat and she was like, man, you suck, Camille. You didn't hit her at all. I wanted her dead. So I really like Mercedes Moné's character. I don't care what anybody says. I think she's a laugh riot. And Chris understandably was so mad, she beat up these two and she even threw them into the vehicle and left them laying. So I actually really do want to see this match, and while I could take more time when it comes to the build, so entertaining. Somebody tried to run over Chris Statlander, and when they didn't, another character was totally pissed off about it. So I'm giving it an up. Again, I live to be entertained, and this entertained me greatly. Which is when we got Christian Cage and his fake family walk into the ring, because they were going to call out Hook. Now, security was out there to protect them when Christian also welcomed Kip Sabian into the family, because he's fatherless as well, and now he's done his fake dad proud. This is when we got footage of what happened ages ago when Christian tried to cash in or use his world title contract, and Sabian stopped him. It's because behind the scenes, the BCC was waiting to screw this up, so now Christian is over the moon with his brand new fake child, and even said, you do more for me than my other sons, as he was giving the eyes to Nick Cage. So Nicky Boy better be worried. I'm also really pleased for Kip Sabian on a personal level because he deserves an opportunity. When Hook did walk out, I was like, oh, can you just get on with it? When Christian was like, listen, bro, I just want you as a son. That's like, what an insane thing to say. This is why Cage took Taz out of the picture though, because he needed to get rid of the real dad in order to teach Hook what an actual fake dad would give him, because let's face it, Taz, who used to be part of the hardcore promotion, ran away to hide between Al and the announce table, whereas if Hook teams up with Christian, he could be a world champion. I was like, oh my gosh. Nobody should ever listen to Christian Cage. I think he could be bonkers. He finished it off by saying, we all want Taz to be dead anyway. That's like, right, I have to go for a nice walk to balance this out. Of course, that was enough for Hook to try and beat these guys up, but he had to take out the security guards instead, as Christian and his family did run away. Just gotta be honest with you, man, it's Christian. He's so entertaining. This could be the best run of his career. Now, Hook was screaming he wanted a one-on-one match, but Cage had a massive smile on his face. So maybe this is not going to go the way we think it's going to go, but also, you cannot have Hook in the Christian Cage weird family dynamic thing. Or maybe you can. I don't know. What I do know, once again, is going to use that word. I was sports entertained here, and Taz, bless his heart, even tweeted out, I'm not dead. So this thing is totally great. Up. We then also found out that MJF was talking to the Don Callis family because the security guard did find Don and basically said, here's a bunch of money and here's the diamond ring. Pick one of your boys and take out Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. So I guess they're going to do that next week. We stick with AEW for now as well because it was Jamie Hayter versus Penelope Ford. And yeah, I liked it. My main takeaway from this too was the awesome finish, because while Penelope Ford was throwing bones the whole time, as was Jamie, eventually she was able to kind of reverse a move and just slam Penelope with the Haterade. And while it kind of had been 50-50, that took her out, it knocked her to the floor, Jamie got the 1, 2, 3. So there's a story within itself. Don't get hit with the big arm. I think you also have to give a shout out to Ford as well, because she has basically been out of the ring for 2 years, and all things considered, she looked pretty good here. And yeah, we all know the deal with Jamie Hayter. When it is time to pull the trigger, we should pull it hard. And also, I want to see her versus Mercedes. I think that would be a terrific match. But this worked for me. AEW then told us that Mira Shirakawa will be back very soon, when we had this massive video for Okada with Jim Ross saying, oh, he's one of my favourite people ever, and tying it into all the tournaments he won, especially because the C2 is just around the corner. So if you are someone that has been like, oh, I don't like goofy Okada, I think that AEW is about to go the superstar route again. So put your seatbelt on and strap yourself in. Back on NXT, we saw William Regal saying goodbye to Lexus King when he bumped into Charlie Dempsey, who of course is his real son, but within the story we don't know is his son. What? Now the wink wink nudge nudge was Regal going, oh, Lexus is not like his dad, which is the story, when he sort of said to Charlie, but will you be like your dad? Charlie was like, well, we'll wait and see, or something like that, because of course once again, we know the relationship, but we also don't. Gonna go to sleep. Francine was then shown in the front row, and that ties into the ECW stuff, when we got Jordynne Grace, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Kalani Jordan and Zarya, defeating Fallon Henley, JC James, Jasmine Niz, Cora Jade, and the NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. So I just thought this was super duper good. We talked about so many matches, I can't get into this. But we do have to give a shout out to NXT for just having the best women's division. And actually, if you take these 10 females, you could put them up against anybody. They're like next level talent. This match was so well balanced as well, because everybody got their moment, everybody got their shine. And if we were trying to set up matches for down the line, which rhymes, but once again, we did a good job. Kalani also did a moonsault at one point and then got totally murdered. I was like, man, talk about life coming at you fast. But it also meant the big hot tag was for Jordynne Grace. And I kind of think maybe she's in with NXT proper now, because my gosh, she steamrolled everyone. The big tag klaxon eventually went off and everybody was doing your move, I move, we're all going to do a move. When we did get some shenanigans, which once again could tie into the future, because Zarya accidentally hit old Jordynne Grace, even though they're meant to be friends. Dun, dun, dun. It was Perez that then tried to hit the pop rocks, but once again that didn't work, because it was Zarya that reversed into the F5, and she got the 1, 2, 3s. This is what I'm talking about. There are 2 fights there that you could do. Once again, it's why I kind of think that maybe, just maybe, Grace has gone into NXT for real. But I'm totally speculating, I know nothing. So bravo to NXT, I thought this set up loads, and I loved that it was the main event. That was a really, really good showcase all around. It's getting it up. And it was kind of the same for AEW as well for their main event, because we had our party match, and it was bloody brilliant. It was also going to be Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita taking on Ricochet and a mystery partner. And how did we not come up with this? Because Rick got on a mic and he said, Don Callis, you moron, you totally forgot about someone when they were injured. You didn't even re-up their contract, so now he wants a piece of you. So everybody welcome Powerhouse Hobbs. I was doing the dance of joy. I love Hobbs. If you're talking about big men, slapping man meat, he right up there. Kyle and Takeshita sold this like death as well, and their Powerhouse just ran through them. And I got my tush and I put it in the chair because I was going to have a good time. Ricochet at one point also dove off his shoulders and took everybody out, not to dinner. So this is a tag team I need in my life. I think they could be really good. Fletcher eventually used a DDT to get back into this when we saw Adam Cole watching from backstage, because we were about to learn his final match is taking on Takeshita in 7 days. You can say whatever we want about the story, we've done that, but that's another match I need to see. Stick it in my veins. Hobbs eventually got the hot tag and wiped out everybody when it was more you go, I go, we all go, when we got a Poison Rana. Of course we did, it's the most popular move of 2024. You really do need to go and see it though, because everybody was so good here, and Ricochet does feel like a man renewed, and it ended with Ricochet and Takeshita going at it. I think eventually we're probably going to get that one-on-one match too. The best part as well is that Takeshita was going to hit his big line, but Powerhouse Hobbs took the bullet. That was well done, which allowed Ricochet to unleash all of his moves when he hit his big running new lariat thing, and he pinned Takeshita. And again, that works so well, because that is a huge win for Ricky, and he can start to feel like a mega star, which maybe arguably he didn't in WWE. But also when we do the singles match, Takeshita can beat him and hold on to his title, which I do expect. So I'm just glad we gave them both something. Of course, there was more here as well, because Fletcher started hitting everybody with chairs, which is when Mark Davis came out, and apparently he has been cleared. This was interesting too, because look, they did push each other, and Mark shoved him to the ground, but there wasn't that much violence I'm not sure if we can trust this Mark Davis. This is when Lance Archer and Brian Cage were here, though, and because they're massive, they cleared the field, which just meant that somebody else is going to have to come out there. So Adam Cole did, because he now hates Takeshita, but they fought to the back, so he still had a numbers game problem. When Will Ospreay's music hit, he had his big comeback, and his place lost their minds. It meant that it was Ospreay, Hobbs, Davis, and Ricochet standing tall after they got rid of the Don Callis family, and this could be some good foreshadowing as well, because when Jon Moxley's crew tries to take over everything, maybe this can be a babyface group that also gets in the way. So all in all, I am going to give it an up. It felt like there was a lot here. Also, having Will Ospreay back on your TV is no bad thing. So I thought it was a very good ending to Dynamite, and again, fair play to Mark. He's had a horrific comeback, and I'm glad he has able to return. Now I must rest. So yes, I know you're looking at the counters going, that one got more downs, that one got more ups, man. It was just a good night for professional wrestling, and I would advise that you watch both shows. Some bits are going to be bad, some bits are going to be not so good, but overall, I think both shows right now are doing very, very well. So they're both getting ups. Now, of course, please do drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought and how much you hate me for being positive. I understand. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Monday Night Raw. But otherwise, have a great day, my friends. I'll see you soon.